File 15. It started with Mike midway through another swing of the tripod against the glass door. He's been at it for a while, based on his apparent exhaustion. He lands the heavy metallic tripod plate against the glass several times, but he has yet to crack it. The glass doesn't even seem to have any give to it. He might as well be hitting a brick wall. The vintage cars and trucks in the parking lot outside seem real, but I'm not sure. There are no people outside in the darkness, yet the couple are trapped in the mall with hundreds of them. So everything beyond this wall may not even have a reason to exist. Whatever time travel trickery is going on here, it likely can't extend past the building in which it was triggered. Jenna can be heard quietly sobbing. She pans to a trash can on the floor, knocked over, and she gives it a kick, giving me the impression that she had used it to join in the efforts before she gave up and started filming again. I also notice that the muzak is now completely gone, replaced by a monotone buzzing sound. Mike hit the doors 12 times in all, working up a sweat and eventually, hopelessly collapsing to the floor. The recording of his efforts ends. File 16. The camera sits on a table in the food court. It's getting late, but it looks like all the places are still open. The pair have cups of soda and slices of pizza on paper plates in front of them, but they both look hesitant to eat. It isn't that they're only losing hope of escape. They're also afraid of the food. I can't blame them. They're mostly in shadow, now lit only by neon lights. "Are we really going to eat this?" Mike asks listlessly. "I mean, who knows what it's made of?" Jenna murmurs, "We have to eat something. We're starving." Mike looked into the camera and says tiredly, "Yeah, so the clocks here say it's 2 a.m, and things just keep on going. It's a 24/7 mall now, I guess. We couldn't last much longer without eating or drinking something. If this is what ends up, at least you'll know it wasn't the perfume lady." In one of the few acts of bravery I've seen Mike exhibit across the videos, he takes a sip from the cup before Jenna, slowly at first, before gulping it down thirstily. She then does the same with her drink, and they soon look a little more confident about trying something solid next. "Well, tastes like Dr. Pepper," Mike says, and examines the pizza. "And it looks authentic enough, even though I don't think much of anything is real in this place. Okay, before it gets cold." He takes a bite, chews, and eventually swallows. Deciding it tastes edible enough and it's worth the risk, he quickly gobbles up the rest, while Jenna remains more reluctant to take her first time with the food. "It's too dark in here," she says, looking around. "All the ceiling lights shut off hours ago, but the people didn't even seem to notice." "We'll try to get some sleep in the arcade," Mike tells her. "All the games are still running. I think that's the most light we'll get. What's gonna happen to this place? Maybe, eventually, the dream ends and we wake up." "Even the guy at Sabora didn't speak, or ask us for any money." "Yeah." Mike then deadpans a joke. "No wonder the chain is dying off." They sit, drink, and eat quietly for another minute before the video ends. File 17. This one takes place entirely inside the mall's old arcade, which closed in 1998. The only source of lights are the flickering cabinet screens and the games on their demonstration mode, but there are so many that the place remains the brightest locale of the mall at this point. Mike holds the camera this time, but I didn't know what he was trying to achieve, other than the miserable conditions the two have found themselves in. He makes a few rounds around the arcade cabinets, muttering incoherently to himself. Kids and teenagers fill the large room with a carpet featuring panels of stars, but none of them move. Some have their hands on joysticks or buttons. Others just stand and stare with arms at their sides. Mike tries to elicit a response from one of the kids, getting the lens right in their face. Their eyes are glazed over, looking straight ahead as the lights of the fighting game reflect on their large pupils. They're just as catatonic as everyone else. Mike throws a swear at him before going over to the prize counter and getting a shot of all the toys he's never going to be able to claim. "I went to a good university," he tells the audience of one, and turns the camera on himself so he can speak angrily into it. "I have a good job lined up, and I like the 80s, the 90s, so what? Doesn't mean I want to be stuck in some shitty bizarro version of nostalgia. I never want to visit a mall again. And the camera battery, it should have died a long time ago, but the icon says it's still full. Nothing is wrong. It's all wrong. We're never getting out of here." Still filming, he goes over to one of those large cabinets that you can sit down inside of for some privacy and immersion. It's an old racing game with a steering wheel, and Jenna is curled up on one of the seats, facing the wall, sleeping, or trying to. As the file was created 5 hours after the previous, I get the feeling that Mike couldn't sleep, or gave up trying. He decided to let Jenna be and slumps down on the carpet. Several cabinet screens are in frame, the kids in front of them, little more than listless silhouettes. Mike can be heard getting emotional for a few minutes, over the noise of the games. Suddenly, he hears a loud metal clang outside, echoing down the mall's corridor. He jolts up and points the camera at the darkness outside that only the neon lights can penetrate. He breathes in, shallow and rapid. Nothing shows up, at least that he can see, but he still ends up running into a small utility closet, without alerting his girlfriend to possible danger, and closes the door. Following another few seconds of pure black images, filled with digital noise and dead pixels, the video ends. I assume he eventually fell asleep in that cramped space, and that the experience was beginning to wear on his sanity by this point. File 18. The camera is aimed at one of the skylights, where early morning light is coming through. It's probably about 8 a.m. or so, meaning Mike and Jenna are nearly 24 hours in on their mall trip. Mike pans down to show the mural at the fountain in front of us, where Jenna scoops up a handful of water and washes her face. Around her are the mindless shoppers, all of them still idle, despite the fact that the place seems to have never opened or closed. This version of Sleepy Pines, whether it really existed in the past or not, just is. I've come to realize that it represents the memory of a mall, when people are there to remember it. Times where it is empty and dormant don't factor into this corrupt amalgamation of its golden days of service. The speakers are still pushing out some sort of noise, but now all I can hear are atonal crackles. Mike approaches Jenna, leaning forward and staring at her reflection in the fountain. She looks at him as he draws near, and now looking incapable of ever smiling again. I still worry about Mike's mental state, but she doesn't seem afraid of him. She's just tired, or starting to resign herself to this imprisonment. "Jen, are you hungry?" Mike asks flatly. "The Cinnabon still seems to be running. I could get you something." She shakes her head and replies, "Mike, we need to find a way out today. Whatever it takes, we can't give up. We just can't." "I know. We'll try something else. I was thinking maybe the air vents." Jenna looks like she's about to say something, but instead goes back to looking in the fountain. After several seconds, she takes on an inquisitive expression and leans forward. She stays in frame, but I get the impression that Mike's looking somewhere else, while the camera remains pointed at her. Jenna takes out one of the coins from the fountain and studies it. I can barely hear her murmur, "Michael, look at this." Mike doesn't hear her and shouts, "Jen, run!" The Camera swings around and I see the perfume lady aggressively approaching at a fast, unstoppable walking pace, the Dillards far behind her. It's the first time I've seen her leave the invisible boundaries of the department store, and Mike and Jenna seem shocked about this as well. The large woman still has the perfume bottle in one hand, but there's no telling what she actually wants. Not ready to find out, the couple starts running. File 19. An hour after the previous video ended, Jenna gets the camera going again and shows Mike crouching down between some washing machines and peeking around the corner of one of those big white cubes. They're somewhere in the Sears store. I think we finally lost her, Mike sighs and slumps against the machine. Crazy bitch. Why is she the only one still moving around? He shakes his head and looks up to see that the camera's recording. Mike, Jenna said quietly, there might be a way out or something. He grumbles back, what are you talking about? Don't get your hopes up, but I found a... Here, just look. She hands him a quarter, and he checks both sides of it. He looks at Jen like she's crazy at first, but then realizes why she's seeing it is important. It's got state art on the tail side. That didn't start until around 2000. Yeah, it's from 2005. I don't think the coins in the fountain were affected by any of this. Something to do with the water, maybe. That doesn't make any sense. None of this makes any sense, but maybe there's something we can do with the water. Whatever took us to this bizarre version of the past, maybe water is the answer, a way out. Mike frowns. So what, should we jump into the fountain? Hold our breath and hope for the best? Or do you want to open up all the faucets in the mall and flood it? How does this big revelation help us? We have to keep trying, Michael. And we need to talk. We need to understand what's happening to us. What this place really is. Why we're here. I don't think we're really in the past. Didn't you notice how early it gets dark around here? There aren't any holiday decorations here, and all the fake people are dressed like it's summer. But the day didn't last any longer than it did before. I mean, yeah, I guess. I think that device somehow recreated local history by altering all the nearby material. But it isn't perfect, and it can't sustain it for long. It's not stable. It's all breaking down. And we're running out of time. That's insane. Have any better theories? Do you think we actually went to the past? Mike takes a rather vapid expression as he thinks for a few moments before replying, Then, what's the deal with the perfume lady? I don't know. Maybe she's guarding the place. Maybe she's the thing keeping us here. She's hurting us. She's threatened us. So, let's try to kill her. How? He asked, and rather stupidly in my opinion. We could start by trying. Why don't we bash her over the head and see what happens? She's not real, Mike. None of those people are real. All right, yeah, fine. We'll smash her head in and see what comes out. He tries to act tough for his girlfriend, but he can't back it up. After he agrees to commit some form of homicide, the two hear a noise, and he panics just as much as she did when they see the silhouette of the perfume lady against the light of the Sears exit to the parking lot. I'm not sure whether she was standing there just menacing or started chasing after them. The clip ends just as the couple starts running. File 20. With only 4 files left to view, I know that Mike and Jenna's journey is coming to an end. This one opens with Mike holding the camera at himself, and behind him are boxes of shoes. He's at a Payless or a Foot Locker. He has his free arm wrapped around the camera tripod from earlier, which rests against his shoulders. He must consider it the best weapon he could find. We think it's been about 24 hours since all this started, he tells me. We're prepared to take on that perfume bitch now, mentally and physically. But we don't know where she is at the moment. But you gotta see this. He sets up and goes to the store entrance, where Jenna is standing guard and looking into the hall. She's holding a metal box in one hand, I think taken from a clothing rack, and a fire extinguisher in the other. "Look at them," she murmurs. "They're getting worse." Mike gets a little closer to one of the nearby kids, but still keeps a safe distance. Thick black ooze, moving as slowly as hot tar, comes dripping from the boy's mouth. Smaller streams of the stuff come out of his lifeless eyes. Mike pulls back and pans the camera to reveal that the surrounding adults are suffering from the same affliction. Still, they all do nothing but stand quietly. Jenna walks into the frame and says, "This is what I'm talking about, Mike. This place is falling apart. First it'll be the more complex things like the people. Then the rest of it will follow. The whole building. But not us, right?" Jenna doesn't have an answer, but there's doubt in her eyes. They move away from the store, Jenna ready to strike with her crowbar. Everyone they pass is disintegrating from the inside out, but none of them act aggressively or move in the slightest. Mike points the camera up to the skylight. There's a miasma of black specks, rising and beginning to smother the sunlight. As he pans back down, he catches on film one of the shoppers losing their arm. It simply breaks off and falls onto the floor, where it slowly melts into a pool of black liquid. At this point, they're out of expletives and just accept it. Even the movie theater marquee has been corrupted, or is glitching like a crashing computer program. The only two legitimate titles are Casablanca and Gone Girl, neither of which came out anywhere near the supposed emulated time period in which the two are trapped. The other spots on the marquee are a jumble of letters and numbers, and a pile of them building up on the floor by the box office. Mike turns away and focuses on the fountain they're closing in on. The mural behind it has lost all its elements and is now a solid black. Jenna runs over to the water and looks down into it. She dips a hand in and then steps in fully, submerging herself to just below the knees. "You really expect something to happen?" Mike asks as he catches up. You're just getting soaked. Might be hard running in wet, squishy shoes, Jen. Maybe we won't have to run anymore if this is our way out." She looks down at her feet and mutters, "Come on, do something." "What are you hoping will happen?" "I don't know. Maybe for my shoes to change back." Mike gazes into the fountain, bringing the camera close to its surface. He notices the coins and takes one out to look at the year it was minted. "You are right," he admits. "You've been putting more thought into this than I have. I guess anything's worth a shot at this point." He points the camera straight up for about a full minute, leaving a bit of his hair in the frame as the clouds of darkness thicken above them. After he has some time to think his thoughts, he swings it back down and gets a shot of Jen's shoes again. They're still red high tops, and she expresses her disappointment with an apparent anguish. I don't know how long she stayed in the fountain, since the video ends a moment later, with Mike trying to be considerate and offering assuring words. File 21. Over 2 hours later, Mike gives me a shot of the skylight again. Only now the dark particles are burning away into a thick mist that's almost fully obscuring the sunlight. It moves like boiling water, forming a wiggling cloud all across the top half of Sleepy Pines. The writhing mass reminds me of worms crawling on the wall from earlier. But it gets worse. The camera sweeps down to the walls of the atrium, where large tiles are breaking loose as more black ooze pours out and spreads across the floor. Jenna walks towards the camera, trying hard not to step in the gunk. She stares at Mike for several seconds, then keeps walking past him. Place has gone to hell, he mutters into the microphone. He then asks Jenna, are we doing another walk? Nothing's changed by the door. The people in the stores are almost gone, but the doors are still solid, Jen. If everything is burning or melting, then a way out has to emerge. Yeah, maybe, but we've been going back and forth for a few hours. I'm going to the food court to see if there's anything left. Not sure that's a good idea. He follows her anyway. They cross through the hallway that looks more like a moving, dripping cave system of black magma than anything human hands have made. I think it's all being reclaimed by the device that projected a version of the mall that emulates its past, but one that never really existed. They made it to the food court, now nearly pitch black, and its primary light source, sunlight, has been all but completely blotted out. The food is darker still. The sub sandwiches, the Chinese noodles and rice, and the Sbarro pasta and pizza have lost their color and form. They've all turned into slag. There's nothing left, Jenna sighs. God damn it, I'm so hungry. I just hope that, what we ate before passed through us enough, and we don't have any of this nasty stuff inside us. The two look down at one of the shoppers' heads on the floor, separated from its body and still staring ahead mindlessly in a pool of its own gunk. They don't remark on it. It really must be a common sight by now. Mike, Jenna says, while the camera's still pointing at the floor. What is it? That kid. You've got to be shitting me. What about him? Mike walks off, only bringing the camera back up when he's a few feet away from the young boy, 5 or 6 years old. His gooey insides are still intact for now, and he looks blankly into space like all the others. I put the pieces together on why Mike suddenly sounds so upset just before he confirms it. Jen, that's me. Why am I here? Why? She comes over to get a better look at young Michael, and then tries to comfort the adult one as he keeps the camera on the kid's eye. It doesn't mean anything, she tells him. How can you say that? Whatever created this place, it pulled from a pool of faces, maybe full of everyone who ever came here. But that could be over 1 million people. Why did I just now find the young me? Where was he? How does whatever this is know who I am? This is all so screwed up. It's messing with me. We're never going to get an answer. Let's just go back to looking for a door, or maybe focus on staying safe until a path opens for us. Mike took a deep breath and turned the camera back around to show the two of them again, both clearly exhausted. He works up the confidence to say, next time we turn this thing on, we'll be filming our escape. Or already back in our hotel room. I'm sick of this place. I think we'll be taking our channel in a different direction after this. They both lock eyes and share a brief kiss before the video ends. File 22. Unfortunately, Mike lied. Created another 2 hours later, this one starts with another shot of the skylight and part of the wall right beneath it. But now, finally, it seems things are reverting. The thick fog of particles has disappeared, and there's a few feet worth of more recent aged atrium wall between the ceiling windows and the black goop, which is no longer actively moving. Instead, the material is now like a dried, flaky crust. A few chunks break off of the mass and turn to dust on the way back. It's as if the 2013 version of the mall is emerging from a cocoon. Hey, it's us again. Hopefully for the last time, Mike says, and gets both of them back in frame. Their eyes are half closed and they look ready to sleep for a week. Well, we still couldn't find a way out, but it's starting to look like we just have to keep waiting a little longer. Sleepy Pines is returning to normal. Very slowly, Jen adds. Yeah, look at this. In a sweeping 360-degree shot, he shows off the atrium and the 3 main hallways. It's all coated black, including the floor, turning the place into a demented dolly painting. It absorbed all the color and most of the light, but there's enough sheen to the crusty darkness to make out its melted wax shape and texture. The two stand to avoid sitting on the stuff, since all the chairs and couches are also gunkified. Even the fountain has been affected. It's now just a solid black basin that still holds its water. All the people are gone, melted into the floor, Mike sighs. The, fragrance friend has been MIA for a while now, so I think we scared her off or something. It's all coming to an end. I begin to feel some relief myself after having an elevated heartbeat for nearly an hour from the safety of my office chair. I start hoping again that they might find a way out, but just drop the camera on the way. I look at the little thing on my desk. My mind is trying to process the idea that it had been twisted in a very different size, shape, and model before being twisted right back again. Mike goes on to say, we still don't know what happened to our phones, so hopefully we'll be able to flag down a car, get some food, get back to our hotel room, close the curtains, sleep. Sound good, Jen? Jen? He looks over to see her staring down at her shoes, which he quickly gets into frame. They've changed back into a modern pair of sneakers. Mike, it's working, Jen murmurs. Yeah, I guess. It just took a long time. Did you feel anything? My feet tingled for a second, and then I looked down, and she stops suddenly as a loud, thundering crack echoes throughout the atrium. What the hell was that? Mike exclaimed, and swings the camera all the way around to show a large segment of the melted black wall near the KB toys breaking apart. Jen, I think it's speeding up. We might be able to get out in just a few minutes. Oh, thank God, she breathes out. The wall cracks again, and then a torrent of ooze, which never dried, comes pouring out. Mike takes a step back, and the three of us watch in dread as an inky arm emerges from the opening. Its claw-covered hand grasping the side to tear open the rest of the chrysalis. Like a grotesque insect emerging from inside, 4 arms spring out and quickly rip apart the shell. A deformed, hulking dark mass over 7 feet tall lurches forward, its 4 legs and 9 arms wriggling about as if they're trying to free themselves from the true owner of the building. The disgusting and horrifying chimera has 5 mouths, at least that I can see, but only a single eyeball manages to protrude from the dripping fleshy mask. Multiple voices, all of them dissonant and guttural, manage to gurgle out, "Try our new fall scent." Jesus Christ, Mike yells out and grabs for the tripod, resting against one of the large chairs. Before he can grasp it, the monstrous creature emits a loud buzzing sound. The camera picks it up this time. For Mike and Jenna, it's so painful and deafening that they have to cover their ears. In doing so, Mike ends up flinging the camera away. It lands at an angle in the melting floor, where the dried ooze covers a part of the lens. The moment the shrieking begins is also when more dead pixels start to appear, much faster than when it happened previously. Every 2 or 3 seconds that pass, another one pops up. I'm still able to see enough of the scene that follows to discern what happened next. Though in pain, the couple manage to get their weapons, and as the creature stumbles into frame, Mike hits its body and multiple arms with the tripod several times, with as much force as he can muster. Jenna jams her metal bar into its body, but it gets lodged into the mass and starts sinking into it. When she realizes she can't pull it out, she begins spraying the creature with foam from the fire extinguisher. It seems to slow it down, but that isn't enough for either of them. They know they need to destroy it, or at least try to. Its body covered in foam, and maybe blinded by it, Jenna shoves the entire red canister into one of its mouths. Mike bashes the extinguisher in deeper with the tripod, and the handle audibly gets squeezed into its maw. More foam is dispensed directly down its gullet, paralyzing the abomination. Jenna grabs Mike's hand and gestures towards the fountain. I guess seeing it as their best option, though I lack the information to know exactly what they expect it to do for them. Even so, they run off into the background of the shot and visibly jump into the water. They don't emerge before the video ends. In the last 10 seconds, after the foam stops pouring out of the creature's mouth, it collapses to the ground, where it starts crawling towards the fountain, screeching and sprouting more arms as it does. With over half the video's pixels either dead or showing nothing but the blackness the lens is sinking into, the clip finally ends on its own, likely because the camera is too badly damaged to continue recording. File 23. I want a conclusion, but I should have expected that I wouldn't get one. My PC never generated a thumbnail for this final file, so I knew in advance that there would be something wrong with it. The warning about it being damaged doesn't deter me from trying to alternate between ways to see the inside it. The file size is over 25 megabytes, so there has to be something within the bytes. Eventually, after trying several file restorations and video editing programs, I managed to extract some information. It's 9 seconds long, though that means little when everything about the file is corrupted to begin with. The audio is nothing but a loud buzz similar to what the creature lets out, and nearly every frame of the video is just a mess of jumbled green and black or more unreadable data. Even so, I want to say I did everything possible, so I go through the video frame by frame, all 60 of them, for each second. Only 2 frames, one 5 seconds in, and the other just near the end, survived or are decipherable, despite still having a flood of pink dead pixels. The first is a single frame, still of Sleepy Pines during the day, looking normal, with a few shoppers walking about. Many of the stores are closed or empty, but the arcade is still open, placing this image sometime before '98, but after the events across the rest of the files. The other one takes me back to where it all began, showing the totem in the lost and found room, blurred by camera motion. It's a duplicate frame from file 10. The remaining several hundred frames remain corrupt, and the data, created by number 23, defaults to the Unix time of January 1st, 1970. I don't think the last file was created by pressing the record button. My guess is that it was generated via hardware error, possibly while the camera was reverting back to its natural form. But that doesn't explain where it could have pulled that picture of the mall in decline, taken years later. I stayed up another hour into the night, researching anything I could find about the mall, or Mike, or Jenna. I find the commercial we saw being shot by the Corvette on YouTube. I almost believe I might see the couple walking about in the background, but I go through the retro 30-second spot for the mall several times, and none of the featured smiling shoppers look anything like them. Even so, seeing all the era-appropriate clothes and the appearance of the mall make me appreciate just how accurately the strange, unknown, and missing device managed to recreate the place from the past. And then, at 4 in the morning, as I'm starting to crash, something casts doubt on the genuineness of everything I just saw. Although Mike never posted it on what little social media presence he had, I find out through another student's Facebook post from Mike's university days that he attended several special effects classes in his junior and senior year. I go to bed thinking about what this might mean, and how it really could have all just been an elaborate underground art project. Maybe Mike had melted several cameras and placed them in abandoned malls to attract attention to himself or become the star of some new urban legend. He and Jenna could very well be missing on their own accord, just to make it all appear authentic. Even with those doubts, I go through the file several more times across the following days, looking for any giveaways or anything that might be faked, albeit very well. But I'm not very good at spotting the tricks he might have used or seeing the imperfections in any elements you'd need a computer to render. I have lunch with the buddy who gave me the camera a week later and tell him about it. We end up having a laugh, and he gets me out of a rut that resulted from my viewing experience by telling me that he was almost certain it was all fake because it just sounded too Hollywood horror to be true. In a few years, Mike, and maybe Jenna as well, would surely emerge as modern artistic visionaries, and everyone that had found a copy of their video would have something worth a small fortune on their hands. But despite saying all that, as we headed out of the restaurant, he does mention two final little details. The camera, it turned out, was found somehow embedded inside of one of the mall's tile floors. Oh, and one more thing. Earlier in the demolition, his crew found a metal bucket in one of the food court kitchens with several unexplainable bite marks around the edges, like someone with a strong pair of chompers snacked on it. He gets quiet for a moment after revealing these findings, but then grins and adds, maybe those two kids were just that good. Maybe. But I can't bury the part of me that believes everything I saw and knows deep down that what happened to Mike and Jenna is in fact a mystery. But I'm still in the area. I drive to what remains of the Sleepy Pines one last time, and on this visit I get a really good look at the mural, coming up close to it, while my mind fixates on what might have transpired on the now barren ground. I try to remember what it was like when I was younger, back when I first visited the mall and had studied the intricate swirls, finding secret critters amongst the dark forest. At first, I think they're all still there, just waiting to be broken apart and tossed into a landfill. But on closer inspection, I find that the elegant brushstrokes of the nighttime woods suddenly end and are not present in the last third of the mural on the left side, where it was still blank and incomplete in Mike and Jenna's video. The paint is still there, as are the trees and the dark colors of that ominous forest, but the subtle textures only the touch of human hands can create have been replaced by something mechanical. What was changed and then changed back is now an unfeeling reproduction that could never get right the true authenticity of real historical art made by someone who cares. Good evening, everyone. It's me, Dr. Plague. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's show. If you think you might like a little more spooky in your life, then please feel free to click on one of the videos we have up here. Maybe look at one of the playlists if you're trying to get caught up. I know, there's so many videos on the channel. There's so many series that are going at the same time. Sometimes you just need a little refresher course, and I gotta say, I always enjoy the views. If you're not subscribed, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Maybe hit the bell so you don't miss anything. We upload a lot on this channel, so you won't want to miss a single story as they come out. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click on the Amazon link down there. There's quite a few books in my Amazon account. You can have a look, and if you'd like a signed copy, get up with me through email, and I'll be happy to work something out with you. Also, there's links to my Patreon, and you can become a member on the channel if you'd like your spooky a little bit early. Patrons and members on the $5 tier get their videos 12 hours early. That's in the morning, as opposed to in the evening. Patrons at the $10 level also get a signed copy of my book anytime I write one. Speaking of my patrons, you should see them appearing right now. Just wanted to take a minute to say how much I appreciate all of you. Patrons, subscribers, however you give to the channel. I really appreciate everything you do, and it truly touches me that you have chosen to support the channel in this way. Well, that's enough for now. Till next time, Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.